My brothers and my sisters, hear me. Before you can ever walk into it, you've got to see it in your spirit. Before you can touch it, you've got to trust it. Before you can have it, you've got to believe it. You can't wait for evidence to believe. Faith is not about seeing before you believe. Faith is believing before you see. The problem with too many dreams is not that they are too big, it's that the belief behind them is too small. God has placed inside you a vision, a dream, a calling, but it is suffocating under your doubt. And today, I came to tell you it's time to believe it to achieve it. What you believe is the blueprint of who you will become. Your belief system is the internal architect that silently designs the life you live. Every choice you make, every risk you take or refuse to take is influenced by the quiet convictions that live deep in your mind. If you believe you are limited, you will never push beyond the walls that hold you. If you believe you are not worthy, you will sabotage every opportunity that tries to bless you. But when you believe you are called, capable, and chosen, you carry yourself differently. You walk into rooms with authority. You face challenges with courage. You see possibilities where others see problems. Your belief becomes the lens through which you see the world, and that lens determines whether you see obstacles as stop signs or as stepping stones. It is not enough to want a better life. You must believe you deserve it. A person can have talent, resources, and connections, but if their belief system is broken, their life will always remain small. Why? Because the mind will always find a way to match the life to the belief. If you believe you can only go so far, you will subconsciously create conditions to keep you there. But if you believe there are no limits except the ones you accept, you will keep moving forward no matter how many times you fall. Life bends in the direction of your dominant belief, and your destiny follows the path your mind has already paved. This is why protecting your belief is so important. Negative voices, past failures, and painful experiences will try to plant seeds of doubt in your soul. They will whisper, "You can't. You're not enough. It's too late." But you must uproot those lies and replace them with truth. Every morning, you need to rehearse the belief that aligns with your destiny. I am more than enough. I am equipped. I am an overcomer. Because if you keep feeding yourself the right belief, sooner or later your life will rise to match it. You can't outlive your faith. You can't outperform your belief. And you can't walk in a future you don't first believe you can have. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is the currency of the impossible, the only legal tender in the economy of miracles. In the natural world, money moves the market. But in the spiritual realm, faith moves mountains. You can't buy a breakthrough with a credit card. You can't write a check for healing. You can't wire transfer peace of mind. These are things that money cannot purchase, but faith can obtain. Faith is what you spend when the door is locked and you have no key. Faith is what you trade when the odds are stacked against you. Faith is the substance you bring to God's table when everything in the natural says it can't be done. Without faith, the impossible stays impossible. But with faith, the impossible becomes inevitable. The danger is that many people try to barter with God using fear, excuses, or conditions. They say, "Lord, I'll trust you once I see the evidence," but that's not how the transaction works. Faith doesn't wait for proof, it becomes the proof. Faith does not ask for a guarantee, it becomes the guarantee. Just as a store clerk will not hand over merchandise without payment, heaven will not release certain blessings without faith. This is why the scripture says, "Without faith it is impossible to please God." Your faith is the down payment on what you have yet to receive. Every prayer you pray in faith is like placing a deposit on a future miracle. And here is the beauty of this currency. No one is born with a shortage of it. Faith is not reserved for the rich, the educated, or the famous. Faith is accessible to anyone willing to believe. But like any currency, it has to be used. You can't store it in the vault of your mind and expect a return. Faith grows by being spent. Every time you step into the unknown, you're spending faith. Every time you obey without understanding, you're spending faith. And every time you believe God for something bigger than yourself, you're making a transaction in the marketplace of the miraculous. The question is not whether God can do it. The question is, will you spend the faith to see it happen? Your words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every sentence you speak plants something in the soil of your future. Some people don't realize they are living in a harvest created by the words they spoke years ago. Words are creative forces. They build, they shape, they frame the atmosphere around you. When you declare something, you are giving it permission to exist in your life. If you speak defeat long enough, you will live in defeat. If you speak fear long enough, you will walk in fear. But if you speak victory, if you speak life, if you speak hope, you create a future that reflects those very words. This is why it's not enough to think positively. You must speak intentionally. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and whatever you continually release from your mouth will eventually manifest in your life. The problem is many people are careless with their words. They speak out of frustration, and those words become self-fulfilling prophecies. They say, "I'll never get ahead," and without realizing it, they have just planted a seed that will grow into limitation. They say, "Nothing good ever happens to me," and they've just watered a crop of disappointment. But you are not powerless over your speech. You can uproot negative words and plant seeds of truth and destiny. You can speak in alignment with where you are going, not just where you are. You may not feel strong, but you can still say, "I am strong." You may not see the provision yet, but you can still say, "I am blessed, I am favored, I am provided for." And here's the thing about seeds. They don't grow overnight. When you start speaking life, the results may not appear immediately. But give it time. Keep watering those words with consistency. Keep pulling out the weeds of doubt and fear. Keep declaring what God says about you, even when your circumstances seem to contradict it. Sooner or later, the harvest will come. The fruit of your words will show up in your life, and you'll look around and realize you're living in the very future you once spoke into existence. Vision has to take root in your spirit before it ever shows up in your surroundings. Everything you see in the world today, buildings, inventions, movements, companies, once lived only in the unseen world of someone's imagination. The chair you're sitting on, the phone in your hand, the clothes on your back, none of it began in a factory. It began in somebody's mind. That's why you can't wait for your environment to confirm your vision. If you only believe in what you can physically see right now, you will never step into anything greater. Vision is not about what is, it's about what can be. It's the ability to carry a picture of your future so clearly inside you that the lack of evidence outside doesn't shake your conviction. The mistake many people make is they want external proof before they commit to their vision. They say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But vision works in reverse. You'll see it when you believe it. You have to be willing to nurture the dream in its invisible stages. You have to walk around with it, talk about it, pray over it, and protect it while it's still fragile. If you expose your vision too early to the wrong voices, they will crush it before it has a chance to grow. People who can't see what you see will try to talk you out of it, not because they're evil, but because their eyes aren't tuned to the same frequency as yours. That's why sometimes you have to carry your vision in silence until it's strong enough to survive public opinion. When the vision is alive inside you, it changes the way you move. You start preparing for things that haven't happened yet. You start walking like the promise is already yours. You make decisions not based on where you are, but on where you know you're going. You become like Noah building an ark in the middle of dry land, doing something that looks foolish to everyone else but makes perfect sense in the context of your vision. And here's the truth. The day will come when the world will see what you saw all along. But that only happens if you refuse to let your environment dictate your belief. You must give birth to the vision inside before the world can ever see it outside. Belief without movement is nothing more than a wish. You can pray, you can dream, you can declare, but until you take a step, your belief remains unproven. Real belief demands proof through action. If you truly believe in something, it will show in the way you live, the risks you take, and the sacrifices you make. Faith without works is dead, because faith is not simply a matter of the heart, it's a call to motion. You cannot claim to believe in the harvest and never put seed in the ground. You cannot claim to believe in the rain and never prepare your field. Action is the visible evidence of invisible belief. Too many people are waiting for the perfect conditions before they move. They say, "When the money comes in, I'll start. When I feel ready, I'll take the leap." But belief does not wait for the stars to align. It moves in spite of uncertainty. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, the waves hadn't calmed. The wind hadn't stopped. The conditions were still unfavorable. But his belief pushed him beyond the safety of the boat into the realm of the miraculous. The same applies to your life. Sometimes you must step into motion before you have all the answers. Belief that never risks anything will never produce anything. Action also sharpens belief. Every time you act on your faith grows stronger. When you move forward and see even the smallest breakthrough, it confirms that your belief was worth the risk. On the other hand, when you delay action, your belief begins to weaken. Doubt fills the gap where movement should be. This is why it's not enough to simply say you believe. You must act like it's already yours. Walk into that meeting prepared. Apply for the opportunity you've been hesitating on. Start the project you've been putting off. Belief opens the door, but action walks you through it. Until you move, you are standing outside your own destiny, Doubt is subtle, but it is deadly. It doesn't usually come crashing into your life with noise and destruction. It slips in quietly, whispering questions into your mind until it convinces you to stand still. It's not always the obstacles in front of you that stop you from reaching your destiny. It's the hesitation inside of you. Doubt will make you second guess the opportunities God sends your way. Doubt will cause you to walk away from open doors because you're not sure if you're ready. And the tragedy is that most people don't miss their destiny because they lack the ability. They missed it because they lack the certainty to step into it. Doubt is the silent assassin of dreams, and if you don't confront it, it will rob you of the very future you were born to walk in. The danger of doubt is that it disguises itself as wisdom. It will tell you you're just being cautious when in reality you're being paralyzed. It will say, wait until the timing is right, but the timing never feels right because doubt will always find a reason to delay. Every moment you spend hesitating is a moment you could have been building, growing, and advancing toward your purpose. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you outright. He just has to get you to doubt long enough for your destiny to pass you by. You'll watch someone else walk into the opportunity you were meant to seize simply because they believe when you questioned. The only way to defeat doubt is to replace it with decisive faith. Faith is not the absence of questions. It's the decision to move forward despite them. It's saying, I don't know exactly how this will work out, but I know who is with me. When you choose faith over doubt, you take back the authority the hesitation tried to steal. You stop letting fear write the script of your life. And here's the truth. Your destiny is too important to let doubt be the author of your decisions. Either you master your doubt or your doubt will master you. The moment you stop believing, you stop moving. And when you stop moving, your destiny slips further away. Don't let doubt rob you of the life you were created to live. Delay has a way of testing the strength of your belief. When the promise takes longer than you expected, it's easy to assume something went wrong, that maybe you missed your chance, or worse, that God changed his mind. But delay is not denial. A waiting season is not a wasted season. Sometimes what looks like a delay is actually divine preparation. God may be aligning the right people, the right resources, and the right timing so that when the door finally opens, you will not just enter, it will be permanent. If you get what you're praying for before you're ready to handle it, the very blessing you long for could become a burden. Delay protects you from arriving unprepared. The problem is we live in a world addicted to instant gratification. We want the harvest the same day we plant the seed, but real growth takes time. Farmers understand this principle. You can't rush the rain, you can't hurry the sun, and you can't demand the seed to sprout on your schedule. Some blessings have a process. They must go through the hidden, underground stage before they can rise into the visible. The delay is not a punishment, it's the maturation period. It's where roots grow deep enough to sustain the weight of the fruit that will eventually come. During the delay, your faith is being refined, your patience is being developed, your character is being strengthened. This is where you learn to trust God without seeing the full picture. You stop worshiping the outcome and start worshiping the one who holds the outcome. You begin to realize that the timing of your breakthrough is just as important as the breakthrough itself. When it finally comes, and you'll look back and see that the delay was actually a gift. It wasn't God withholding from you, it was God making sure what he gives you will last. Delay is not the end of your story. It's simply a chapter that prepares you for the fulfillment of the promise. The people around you will either fuel your faith or feed your fear. You cannot afford to carry a fragile dream in an environment full of doubters. The wrong voices can talk you out of what God has already spoken over your life. Doubters will always find a reason why it can't be done, why you're not ready, why you should play it safe. They don't mean to be dream killers. Many of them are just speaking from the limits of their own belief. But if you keep exposing your vision to people who can't see it, they will slowly drain your confidence until you start shrinking your dream to fit their comfort zone. That's why you have to be intentional about surrounding yourself with people whose faith matches or exceeds your own. Believers see beyond the present. They can look at you in the middle of your struggle and still call you victorious. They can hear your vision and not laugh at it, but push you toward it. They don't just cheer for you when things are easy. They speak life over you when the road gets hard. When you are tempted to quit, they remind you of the promise. When you feel forgotten, they tell you that God is still working. The right people can reignite your faith with a single conversation, while the wrong ones can extinguish it with a single sentence. That's why your inner circle is not just a social choice. It's a spiritual strategy. Even Jesus was careful about who he allowed into his moments of faith. When he went to raise Jairus' daughter from the dead, he didn't take the whole crowd. He only brought a few trusted disciples and pushed the rest outside. Why? Because miracles require an atmosphere of belief, and unbelief is contagious. Your destiny is too valuable to be surrounded by people who are allergic to faith. If you want to see the impossible happen, stay close to those who believe it's possible. Find people who don't just tolerate your vision, they stand in agreement with it. Because when believers lock arms, faith multiplies and mountains move. Victory is not first won on the battlefield, it's won in the mind. Long before your feet ever step into the fight, you have to see yourself on the other side of it. If you walk into a battle expecting defeat, you've already lost before the first punch is thrown. Every champion wins twice, once in their imagination and once in reality. That's why vision is so critical. You have to picture yourself standing tall, holding the victory, hearing the words, "Well done," before you even lift a hand. When David faced Goliath, he didn't see a giant that could not be defeated. He saw a target that could not be missed. His faith painted a picture of victory so clearly in his mind that the battle was already decided before the stone ever left his sling. Seeing yourself victorious does not mean ignoring the size of the challenge. It means refusing to let the challenge dictate the outcome in your heart. The battle may be intense. The opponent may be bigger, the odds may be stacked against you, but if you see yourself through the lens of faith, you will fight from a place of confidence instead of desperation. Fear fights to blur your vision. It wants you to picture yourself losing so that you fight half-heartedly. But when you've already envisioned the win, you fight differently. You fight with authority. You move with determination. You take bold swings instead of cautious jabs. You stop trying to survive and start expecting to conquer. This mindset is not just motivational, it's spiritual. Scripture says we are more than conquerors through Christ. That means victory is already part of our identity. When you know who you are, you stop questioning if you can win and start strategizing how you will win. You enter the battle not hoping to see victory, but carrying the victory inside you. And here's the truth. The fight is never just about your skill, your strength, or your resources. It's about your belief. If you can see yourself victorious before you fight, then no matter how fierce the battle gets, you will keep moving forward until the vision in your heart matches the reality in your hands. Feelings are fickle. They rise and fall like the tide, changing with the weather of your circumstances. One moment you feel unstoppable, and the next you feel unqualified, unprepared, or unseen. If you let your faith be dictated by your feelings, your belief will be unstable, and your destiny will be delayed. That's why you must believe bigger than you feel. True belief is not based on emotional highs or inspirational moments. It's a decision, a conviction, a settled choice to trust what God has said over what your feelings are screaming. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history happen when someone moved forward, not because they felt strong, but because they chose to believe in spite of weakness. When you believe bigger than you feel, you stop waiting for confidence to magically appear before you take action. You understand that feelings often follow faith, not the other way around. Many times you will have to move while still feeling afraid, speak while still feeling uncertain, and build while still feeling unready. The enemy will try to use your emotions as evidence that you're not capable. He'll say, if you really were meant to do this, you'd feel more sure. But the truth is, faith is not about feeling sure, it's about acting on the truth even when nothing inside you feels ready. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to go forward while fear tries to hold you back. Believing bigger than you feel requires you to anchor yourself in something deeper than emotion. You anchor yourself in the promises of God, in the track record of His faithfulness, in the unshakable truth that what He has spoken will come to pass. Your feelings may tell you to quit, but your belief will tell you to keep going. Your emotions may say, you're alone, but your faith will remind you, I will never leave you nor forsake you. When you learn to let belief lead and feelings follow, you become unstoppable. Because at the end of the day, your destiny will not be fulfilled by how you felt. It will be fulfilled by how you believed. I don't care what it looks like right now. I don't care what they said about you. I don't care how many times you failed. If you believe it, you can achieve it. Not because of your power, but because you are backed by the power of the one who called you. Walk out of here today believing like it's already done. Because if you can believe it, you will achieve it.